welcome into another episode of Homegrown. In this episode, we welcome in 2019 alum Trey Wright. Trey, welcome to Homegrown.
Welcome.
Basically, before we get started, I wanted to give you a chance to give everybody a background about yourself. You know, when you graduated here, I said 2019, but you know what you accomplished along the way and where you're at now.
All right, so I played 4 years here at Jackson High School. I played baseball, basketball, and football for a little bit, and then turned into football and baseball only. Obviously, I got to be part of the 2017 state championship team. And then there's a few regional finals appearances and some heartbreak in there. But
and now you're where? You're playing at the next level?
University of Toledo. So, yep.
And you'll be playing with Yanni, who was just on the previous episode of Homegrown. How does that make you feel to have your old high school teammate and battery mate back with you?
Yeah, so high school, you know, Yanni and I were probably like best friends on the team, and you know, it's just going to be interesting to see what he can do at the next level, and he'll get to watch myself obviously too. So, you know, I was kind of sad at the end of high school. Like, I thought I'd never see him again or never play with him again, but you know, now I get 4 more years. So
right. And we'll be sure, I mean, a lot of us here at the Jackson Community and Program will be watching that, you know, from here, maybe when you guys are around. But let's talk about high school playing days here at Jackson. Let's talk about your 4 years here at the varsity level under Coach Gamble and Coach Rodriguez and everybody else, Coach Ying specifically, who works with catchers. You know, just let's talk about your journey through the youth leagues and you know, travel programs all the way to high school. What was that like for you?
yeah, so you know, growing up, fortunately, I was able to play in the Jackson Travel Leagues, and we played, man, I don't know, probably from 10U all the way up to 13U, which I guess is only 3 years, but you know, throughout that time, like, a lot of those guys were the same guys that I played varsity baseball with, which is crazy because, you know, I don't really think that happens elsewhere. Like, you don't have an 8-man crew that has played together for 4 years. So by the time we got to varsity, it was like, oh yeah, like, I know all these guys. Like, I don't have to prove anything. Like, you know, we just went out there and played. Other than that, you know, we got to work out with Coach Gamble and all the gym facilities. At the time, we didn't have this facility, so I remember we'd come in on Sunday evenings and you'd have 2 hours in the gym taking ground balls off the hardwood, and then those same coaches, you know, like, they became your high school coaches. And so once you got there, like, everybody was close with each other and they knew what you needed to improve on and how to help you out.
And so with this series of Homegrown, it'll be going out on all the Jackson Baseball social media pages. We're going to have a lot of kids that were once in your spot, you know, at 10U, 12, 11, 12, 13, and so on and so forth. You mentioned playing with these guys, and you ended up graduating with. Not only how much fun is it, but how important is it to build that relationship and have that team camaraderie when you get to the high school level and be able to hold them accountable and have trust in them?
Right. So, I mean, it's a lot of fun, and then it's also, you know, like, it's a double-edged sword. Like, at the end of the day, it's like, man, not everybody's fortunate enough to go on and play another 4 years. So I remember coming back after we lost to Walsh and, you know, just sitting in there being like, wow, Drew Fike's never going to play another baseball game. Or, like, Gianni Capuano's never going to play another baseball game. Like, how lucky were we to not only play so much as a group, like, together when we were young, but, you know, get a couple extra years in high school, and you know, you don't know the good days are over until you're already out of them. So.
Right, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned, you know, the good days, because in baseball, it's a game of failure. There's plenty of bad days. And we've touched on it with Yanni, him being a pitcher, and how his mentality to get ready and dealing with failure. You know, Yanni was very fortunate to not deal with failure until his last career start. Yes. I mean, he was one of the better pitchers. His name's all over the record board. There's been tremendous athletes to come through here. You, though, I mean, you were a catcher, you're a catcher at the next level, but you also were able to play multiple positions. Talk about the mentality for Trey getting ready for games. You know, whether it was at second base, whether it was behind the plate, or whether Coach Gamble was asking you to play outfield, third base, something else. What did you do to get ready?
Really, I just tried to focus on, like, doing my job. Like, I didn't have to be anybody I wasn't. I just had to do my job. If I was playing second base that day, my job was to play second base, you know, and not make any errors. If I was playing third, like, same deal. Catching, you know, like, control the staff. But, you know, if you go out there and you don't do your job, somebody else is going to. Here at Jackson, like, we're lucky enough to have enough guys that the next man up is great. So if we go out there and you don't perform, somebody else is taking your spot. And if you want to be on the field, you got to be able to adapt.
And you mentioned here at Jackson how fortunate we are to have, big school, a lot of real good talent. And sometimes that talent doesn't always get to get on the field because there's so much. But like we talked about with Yanni in a previous episode, practice here, right? Practice here is a different beast compared to most other programs, maybe not even you see at the college level. How does practice get you ready? Because obviously pitchers are a little different practice versus position players. How does that get you ready? And it's fun, right? I mean, you're competing day in and day out to get a spot and to show that you can contribute on Tuesday, Thursday Federal League games, right?
Right. I mean, if you like competition, like this is for sure the place for you. I mean, if you go out there and you have maybe 2, 3, 4 guys at each position, like you got to bring it every day in, day out. And that's how they ensure they got the right guys on the field, and that's how they ensure that you're having to get better.
And that's also why there's been so much success here. You were part of a state championship team, and like you said, a team that went deep in the state playoff tournament, regional final appearances. Let's talk about failure, though, right? Baseball, we all know, is a game where you do your job 30% of the time. In Major League Baseball, you're one of the greatest of all time. How do you deal with failure? Especially, I mean, you being able to play different positions when you were here and now being a catcher at Toledo. How do you deal with failure?
So, like, originally, like, probably sophomore year, like, I really didn't handle it too well. I thought I had to go out there and, be perfect or, close. But, I mean, you put the bat on the ball and put the ball in play, like, great things will happen. That just comes. But, like, I found the best part of going 0 for 3 is going 1 for 4. So, it was always the next at-bat mentality or the next pitch mentality for somebody like Yanni. He goes out there and rare walk guy. Like, he wouldn't walk very many batters, but if he does walk somebody, he's going to come back and throw strikes for the next. So,
and also talk about, I mean, as a pitcher, most of Yanni was a PO. Most pitchers are POs, most.
Right.
For you, not taking your at-bats to the field and not taking what you did in the field to the at-bat. If you have a bad day at the plate, you want to make an impact on defense or vice versa. How did you take pride in that? Yeah,
so, like, carrying it out there to the field, like, it doesn't help you at all. I mean, the best you can do is make up for it. So if that's going to be, blocking a ball in the dirt with the runner on third, that's what it's going to be. If I went out there and had my head down and was moping, maybe that ball goes through my legs and now we're down a run.
So let's fast forward now, present day. You're at Toledo right now. Your freshman year, you were unfortunately on the wrong side. That's when COVID hit, correct?
Right.
So you lose your freshman year. Fast forward to this year, you suffer a setback, correct? Right. So why don't you just touch on that and what happened with you, and then the importance of now, like we touched on with Yanni, he had a different injury than what you have, but the importance of investing in yourself and taking care of all parts of your body that maybe these kids at a younger level don't understand quite yet.
Right. So last fall, I dislocated my right shoulder and tore my labrum, and the doctors decided, like, hey, like, if you don't get this fixed, it's going to be really difficult moving forward if it happens again. So I took the risk, and I was like, okay, I'll get surgery. Right now, I'm like 7 months out of surgery, and it's coming along. Like, we're getting better. And all I can say is, like, before it even happened, like, I took good care of my body, but you can never take too much care. Like, it doesn't hurt to be in shape. I'm talking to Yanni, too, dealing with his injury, but it doesn't hurt to, go the extra mile and stay 5 minutes after practice to do band work, or show up 5 minutes early to do band work or weighted balls. Like, do everything you can just to make sure your body's ready to go.
Right. And ultimately, it's not only going to help you possibly prevent things, because we know there's freak injuries, but also it's going to make you better at the end of the day, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I like to think of it as, like, stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Mm-hmm. And we hear that, saying a lot from different people. Trey, I want to thank you for hopping on an episode of Homegrown for this series that we have going on. Wish you the best of luck at Toledo. We'll be, watching closely and hopefully have you back on here when we maybe do a alumni roundtable.
All right, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
That was Trey Wright, another episode of Homegrown. Stay on the lookout for another episode dropping on the Jackson Baseball Twitter page or Jackson Baseball YouTube account. And until then, we'll see you when we see you.